Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. The gospel today, the Lord in the gospel speaks to us about the eye and its function. He says the lamp of the body is the eye. Therefore, when your eye is good, your whole body also is full of light. But when your eye is bad, your body also is full of darkness. How do we understand that? A good eye brings light to the whole body. A bad eye brings darkness to the whole body. And then he says, therefore, take heed that the light which is in you is not darkness. Be careful, he says, that the light which God has put in us does not bring darkness. If then your whole body is full of light, if the eye brings light and the whole body is full of light, having no part dark, the whole body will be full of light, as when the bright shining of a lamp gives you light. Not only to me, but to everybody else. How do we understand this? What does Jesus mean when he says if your eye sees light, it brings light to the whole body? All of our eyes sees light. If you have an eye and it's healthy and it's not covered, would bring you light. So where is the place for the if? Every one of us have an eye that brings light. Where is the place for the if? I think then, if I read this right, it is a symbol. We call that in the way of speaking. It's a metaphor. It's something that is not really meant the physical eye. It doesn't mean the physical eye. It means something else. So, what does Jesus mean by the eye? When we studied in medicine, I remember making this recognition in studying the brain physiology, the functions of the brain. The function of the brain. Your head cover, please. The function of the brain has a place called association areas. What do you mean by association areas? Association areas bring what you see, what you hear, what you feel, what you touch, what you smell into a memory, into a stored information, into another experience, and link them together. So, people who have problems, mainly the schizophrenic, they have something, they call it, there's illusions. Or illusion is when you see something and you think of it as something else. So those people who have the schizophrenia, their eye sees a rope. That's a common example. And the person who have a bad association, very, very wrong association, pathological association, looks at the rope and says, a snake. A snake. Because their eye is bringing them fear. This association also can be beautiful. Someone told me this, and there's a lot of this into judgment. Someone says, I was in the church one day, and I saw this deacon standing at the altar with a Buddha, and he has like a hair very long. And he started judging the deacon. He said, why is that deacon having his hair that long? He associated this with the hippie movement, or people who doesn't have any kind of standards of how they should look. After he finished, he told Abuna, how did you allow this person to? He said, no, this is a very good deacon. He just they're having a drive for wigs for people with cancer. And he'd volunteered to let his hair grow so they can take his hair and make a wig. That's an association too. The eye saw something and connected it to something wrong and got angry or offended. Some of that stuff, that connection, you cannot really say anything about it. Like people who are stealing, and you know they are stealing, you see it, and you say, you cannot say that maybe he's stealing for something, you know, needy or something, but it's stealing. There are certain things we cannot apply that to. So the association here is what Jesus speaks about. That what our eyes see, and then what does the brain, the inside eye, do with what we see? The inside eye. How does the inside eye perceive the outside world? So here's a story from the Bible. And this story shows us actually the beginning of the inside eye. To see really light, the beginning of it is to see oneself, to see myself. There's this king, King David, who was a righteous man, a very saintly, holy man. And I want to read with you what he did with his eye and how did it bring him darkness. Let us read this story because it's a very important story. It's in the book of Second Samuel. And it is in chapter, I think, 11. It says that it happened in the spring of the year, at the time when kings go out to battle, that David sent Joab. That's his cousin and the head of the army. He's his cousin. He's actually his nephew, his nephew and the head of his army. And his servants with him and all Israel. And they destroyed the people of Ammon and besieged Rabbah, the capital. But David remained at Jerusalem. He didn't go. Then it happened. One evening that David arose from his bed in the afternoon and walked on the roof of the king's house. He's bored. He have nothing to do. The army's gone. He's usually going out with them. They told him, just take a rest. Don't go out. And he was walking on the roof. He saw a woman bathing. And the woman was very beautiful to behold. Big trouble. And he saw her. So David sent and inquired about the woman. And because he can, that's the only reason. Because he can. And someone said, this is the Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Uriah the Hittite is one of his leaders in the army. Eliam is his counselor. Then David sent messengers and took her, and she came to him, and he lay with her. So what happened to the body? The eye first, then the body. The eye became dark, then the whole body became dark. Immediately he went into sin, and this beautiful singer to God, the sweet harp of Christ, became an agent of sin, and his body was used to commit one of the highest problems, the highest sins. And she returned to her house. She is the king, she cannot say anything, and he overpowered everybody. And the woman on top of that conceived, she became pregnant, and she told David and said, I am with child. They said, he's in big trouble. The woman is married, and she has a husband. He couldn't restrain his eyes and only saw sin in this situation. So he said, send Uriah to the Hittite, and Joab send Uriah to David. And send me Uriah, he's in the battle. When Uriah had come to him, David asked how Joab was doing, blah, 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 and how the war. And then said, go down to your house, wash your feet. He's telling him, go sleep with your wife, basically. So Uriah departed from the king's house, and a gift of food from the king followed him. Uriah slept at the door of the king's house, didn't want to go into his house, with the servants of his lord, and did not go down to his house. A man is a very noble man, highest quality. He couldn't go into his house and have rest while the whole army is out and the Ark of the Covenant is out. He just said, no, I cannot do that. He's going to say it to him. Uriah did not go. He told him, did not go down to his house. Your problem is not resolved. Why did you not, he's saying, why did you not go into your house? Uriah said, the ark of Israel, the ark of God, and Israel and Judah are dwelling in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open field. Shall I then go to my house to eat and drink and to lie with my wife? As you live and your soul lives, بيحلف بي, is swearing by him, I will not do this thing. He has more sense than the king. So they said, wait here today. So he got him drunk, sent him again, refused again, even drunk to do it. The man has a very high level of integrity. Integrity. So he had him drunk and he did this. So that in the morning he didn't go again. So in the morning he said, there's nothing else to be done. Send him back to the fight, to the war, with a letter. What does the letter say? Set Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle and retreat from him. Put him in front of the enemy and go back from him, that he may be struck down and die. By his own hand, he wrote his own order. So it was while Joab besieged the city that he assigned Uriah to a place where he knew there were valiant men, very strong fight. He knew that. And by the way, David had already instructed them not to do that ever, ever. He knew what should not be done. Don't go in to attack the strongest part of an enemy's army when you are a little number. You'll be destroyed. We will lose people. Then the men of the city came out and fought with Joab, and some of the people of the servants of David fell, died, and Uriah the Hittite died also. Joab sent back to David and said, mission accomplished. So David actually, he expected David to be angry because he's not supposed to do that, and he expected David to forget what he said. So he told him, don't forget to mention that Uriah died. And that's it. When he did say that, the messenger, the king was okay. Now, what happened to David? What is the problem? He's blind. He's completely blind. Then the Lord sent Nathan, because he's blind, Nathan, a prophet in the time of David, to open his eyes. And he came to him and said to him, there were two men in one city. He's giving him a parable. Why is he giving him a parable? There was two men in one city, one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceedingly many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing except one little ewe lamb, female lamb, a female sheep, which he had bought and nourished. And it grew up together with him and with his children. It ate of his own food, drank from his own cup, and lay in his bosom. And it was like a daughter to him. And a traveler came to the rich man, who refused to take from his own flock and from his own herd, to prepare one for the wayfaring man who had come to him. But he took the poor man's lamb and prepared it, killed it, prepared it for the man who had come to him. David didn't even let him finish. David's anger was greatly aroused, became very angry against the man who did this. And he said to Nathan, swearing, as the Lord lives, the man who has done this shall surely die. What do you see here? Absolute blindness, complete darkness. There's nothing there. He sees nothing, he recognizes nothing, he perceives nothing, as if he's talking about somebody else in another country. That's crazy. He said, he shall surely die, but before he dies, he shall restore fourfold for the lamb, because he did this thing and because he had no pity. Yeah? Nathan took advantage of this and said to David, you are the man. How would you feel? How would you feel if you are David? Shocked, shamed, very perplexed, very confused. What? How did I do this and I didn't pay attention? And then he continued to say, the Lord is saying, I anointed you king over Israel. You don't know who you are. And I delivered you from the hand of Saul, when Saul was alive. I gave you your master's house and your master's wives into you, keeping, and gave you the house of Israel and Judah. And if that had been too little, I also would have given you much more. Why have you despised the commandment of the Lord? To do evil in his sight, You have killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and you have taken his wife to be your wife, and have killed him with the sword of the people of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from your house, because you have despised me, and have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. This is a very powerful example of how the eye, when it's dark, bring darkness to the whole body, to the whole life. He just overlooked his eye. Forgive me for the pun. He overlooked his eye. He didn't pay attention to it. And when he saw this woman, he didn't think of anything else. And it brought darkness not to his own eye, but to his body, to his life, and to his house, and to his kingdom. Basically, this is the example of what Jesus is talking about today. In the saints' story, when they are awake, sometimes I've read this story about a group of monks in the old times who were going to the city to run an errand. And they saw a prostitute, a woman who works in the evil. And she was adorning herself, putting up a lot of makeup, dressing up with the best dresses, and looking very, very attractive. And there were like 4 of them. The 3 of them turned their face the other way, and the other one said, "Look at her. How is she to attract men, doing all what she can, spending all the money that she can? And I am not able to attract God to me. I'm not working as hard as this woman to develop virtue and to develop to be excellent in the commandments of God, to be attractive to Christ." And this is another way of looking, completely total different way of looking. He looked at the same woman, but with a different association, different coming together of memories and experiences. There's one way to look and gain for yourself darkness. There is another way to look and gain for yourself piety. We can look at everything and we see things coming from the hands of God as if they were freshly made yesterday. And you think about how God is doing things so beautiful and so attractive. And we thank Him, we look to Him. But we can look and think about our desires, and we think about our misery, which will last very short, and then after that comes darkness. One of the first things that happened after this is David's opening of eyes started with this. David said to Nathan, first thing he said after he heard the verdict, what did he say? "I have sinned against the Lord. I have sinned." So the first thing that happens when a person's eyes opened is they see themselves. They see their own shortcomings. They see their lack of love, because David understands the Lord is very kind and loving and gentle and generous. He's not like him at all. God is about giving, not about taking. So he knows exactly where he stands in front of God. There's a complete opposite. One who is a giver, pure, doesn't have anything for himself, selfless, and another one is selfish, very weak, and sometimes stupid, and asleep, and has no way of seeing things. The first thing comes to him is, "I have sinned. I have sinned." And when he said that, and because God loved David, he said, "The Lord has put away your sin, you shall not die." But somebody else is going to die. The son that he is going to have from Bathsheba is going to die because she's pregnant. What did David do after that? David went and fasted and said a very beautiful psalm. We all know it. Psalm 50. That psalm is written immediately after that. If you read it in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, it says it is said after Nathan came to him. In the Hebrew it's 51. After Nathan came to him and told him that he had done this. So what did David say? "Have mercy upon me, O God, according to your great mercy. According to the multitude of your tender mercies, blot out my transgression. Wash me thoroughly. You can hear it now because you know the story. You can hear it with the story in mind. You understand exactly what these words meant for David. He's not writing literature. He's not trying to compose a book. He's pouring out his heart. What he feels, he's giving to God, his feeling, his experience. He said, against you only I have sinned and done this evil in your sight, that you may be found just when you speak and blameless when you judge. There is this sense of wakefulness, that he is awake now. He is able to see. What have I done? What have I done? He would say. What have I done? Where was my mind? Where was my eyes? Why did I let this happen? So when Jesus speaks about the eye, he speaks about our vision of things. And this is something we need to look into. Do I really see things the right way, or I only see the things with the eye of desire? Do I really see God's tenderness and goodness and love and kindness in everything I encounter every day? Do I see that? Do I seek to see it? Or I only see what the world sees? From the beginning, the devil said, take my eyes and look with them. Take my eyes, the devil said. What are the eyes of the devil? What does the devil see? What do you think the devil sees? I will tell you what the devil sees. I can't make things. I cannot make a human being. I cannot make a tree. I cannot make a rat. So what I see, I need to steal, take, because I cannot make those things. And I want them and I crave them bad. And instead of working with God and serving and giving and caring and being a good steward, you want to be a thief, a robber. That's what he sees. That's what if we go with the devil, you're going to see the same thing. Your eyes are going to look into things and say, I want this. This is where you get jealousy, envy, competition, lust, stealing, ideas of all kinds of things, pride. This is how the devil sees things. If you see it with the eyes of God, you would see self-giving, loving, service, giving, generosity. And the more you see with this eye, the more your whole body becomes light. And physically, people had seen saints who light up, they were lit up like candles, actually, physically, because they were having this eye. So the eye begins your journey toward light or toward darkness. What do we see? That's a very good question that Jesus is asking us today. What do we see? You see darkness, you'll be filled with darkness. You see light, you'll be filled with light. النهارده ربنا يسوع المسيح في الإنجيل لخص الكلمتين بالعربي بيتكلم على العين. بيتكلم على العين. وبيقول إذا كانت عينك بسيطة فجسدك كله يكون نيرا، وإذا كانت عينك رديئة فجسدك كله يكون مظلما. طب ايه علاقة العين؟ طب ما احنا العينين بتاعتنا كلها بتشوف النور. مفيش عين لو عين سليمة ومش متغطية هتشوف النور. طب ايه اللي يخلي العين تشوف ضلمة وتجيب ضلمة للجسد؟ يبقى لابد ربنا ما بيتكلمش على العين دي، بيتكلم على عين تانية، او هي مثل لعين تانية جوانا هي اللي بتشوف ضلمة ونور. لما كنا بندرس في الطب كنا بندرس حاجة اسمها مراكز association، يعني ايه؟ ترابط. اماكن الترابط في المخ، في الوظائف المخ. اماكن الترابط دي شويه عجيبه، بتميز البني ادم، والحيوانات عندهم منهم بس احنا اكتر بكتير جدا. بتاخد الحاجه اللي احنا بنشوفها وبنسمعها وبنشمها وبنلمسها، المركز ده جوه، ويربطها بذاكره تانيه، بخبره تانيه، بمعرفه تانيه، بفهم تاني، يربط الاثنين مع بعض. احيانا بتبوظ، يعني الناس اللي عندهم شيزوفرينيا بعيد عن اي حد يبقى عندهم حاجه اسمها الهلوسه، هلاويس. والهلاويس دي انواع، في illusion وفي hallucination. يمكن hallucination هلاويس. الillusion اللي هي الايه؟ خيالات، يمكن خيالات. الفرق بين الهالوسينيشن والإلوجن هو الآتي. الهالوسينيشن ما فيش حاجة خالص، يقول لك في حد ماشي ورايا. فين يا عم الحد ده؟ يقول لك لا أنا شايفه هو ماشي ورايا. ده إيه؟ هالوسينيشن، دي هلوسة. طب أمال الخيالات؟ قال لك يشوف حبل ويقول عليه إيه؟ تعبان. يبقى في حاجة، بس هو بيفسرها إزاي؟ بيفسرها بالخوف. يشوف حد بيعمل حاجة يقول فلان ناوي يأذيني. هو عمل حاجة فعلا بس مش نيته تأذيه. فدي يسموها الإلوجنز. لأن الترابط ما بين اللي بيشوفه أو اللي بيسمعه مربوط بمركز الخوف، وكل حاجة طالعة من هناك. القصة دي أكتر حد شرحها لنا داوود في المصيبة الكبيرة اللي هو عملها. طلع على السطح بعد ما الناس كلها راحت يحاربوا، الجيش بتاعه كله بره، تابوت العهد بره. طلع على السطح بعد الظهرية بعد ما صحي من النوم وما عندوش حاجة يعملها، وبطل يعمل المزامير وبطل يعمل كل حاجة، قاعد زهقان. وبص من على السطح لقى واحدة بتستحمى، والست كانت جميلة. فدخلت في دماغه بدل ما يقول بلاش ابص على الحاجة دي مش بتاعتي، او يقول حتى ربنا عمل حاجة حلوة وخلاص، لا، قال مين الست دي؟ قالوا له دي مرات يورايا، الراجل اللي هو في الجيش عندك، واحد من القوات بتوع الجيش الكبار. قال لهم هاتوها. جابوها، وهي طبعا ما قدرتش تقول حاجه، ده الملك. ونام معاها والست حبلت. وعشان يغطي الحكايه دي جاب جوزها من الحرب، وعايز يخليه يروح ينام مع مراته، لان الست حبلت مش هينفع تبقى من الملك، تبقى فضيحه. والملك لو هيطبق عليه القانون بتاع ربنا هيحصل له هيرجموه. طب وبعدين اصر ان الراجل يروح. قعدوا عنده يومين، والراجل كل ما ينزل من عند الملك يقعد على العتبه يقول لهم ما اروحش بيتي، ما ينفعش. يعني يبقى تابوت العهد بتاع ربنا في الصحراء بره، والجيش كله، كل الناس الكبار بتوع الجيش في الصحراء، وانا قاعد هنا اكل واشرب وانام مع مراتي، ما تجيش، مش هقدر اعمل كده. فقال ما بدهاش، راح واخده وعملوا وبعت معاه جواب ليؤاب وقال له خد ده. يؤاب كان ابن اخته، ابن سرويه دي كانت اخت داوود. فيؤاب قال له خد الراجل ده حطه في وش الحرب الشديده واسحبه من وراه، ما تدافعوش عنه عشان يموت وما تزعلش. عملوا كده والراجل مات. فلما حصل القصه دي راح له ناسان النبي وقال له القصه بتاعت الراجل الغني والراجل الفقير. قال له الراجل الغني عنده قطيع من الغنم والفقير عنده نعجه واحده. فالراجل اللي عنده قطيع من الغنم جاله ضيف عشان ياكله، بدل ما يذبح واحد من الغنم الكتير اللي عنده راح ذبح له خد بالقوه، خد النعجه بتاعت الراجل الفقير الواحده اللي بيعملها كبنته وذبحها واكلها للراجل الضيف بتاعه. قبل ما يكمل داوود قال له حي هو الرب، بيحلف اللي عمل كده يعمل يموت. طب ما تصبر على رزقك. قال له حي هو الرب اللي عمل كده يموت، وقبل ما يموت يعوض 4 أضعاف. طب ما انتش واخد بالك ايه بقى النقطه اللي انا عايز اوصل لها هنا؟ ايه اللي حصل لداوود؟ عينيه حصل لها عمى تام، ما قدرش يتخيل حتى ان هو ممكن يكون عمل القصه دي، ما جاش على باله. وبشوفها كتير وبنشوفها في حياتنا، في انا وفي الناس، ان الناس لما يبقى في الغلط وماشي في السكه دي مش شايف نفسه، مش عارف هو بيعمل في عمى تام. فقال له البعيد انت هو الرجل. داوود اول ما سمع كده اتشد. هو نسان كان خايف، خلي بالكم. هو ليه قال له مثل؟ زي ما انا افكر فيها، هو ليه نسان ما قالوش انت عملت وسويت؟ ليه اداها له في مثل؟ انا ممكن يعمل فيه زي ما خلص من يورايا يخلص من نسان. ما هو عملوا كده كتير ملوك قبل كده. ده اول واحد بيروح في السكه هو مين؟ النبي. فخايف، فقال لك اما اشوف هيعمل ايه في المثل. فهو يحكم على نفسه بدل ما احكم انا. فحكم على نفسه فقال له انت هو الرجل. ما قالوش اكتر من كده. الراجل لان داوود راجل قديس ومن قلبه من جوه كويس، هو مش وحش، داوود مش وحش، بس جاله حاله من العمى، الظلمه دخلت بس. والظلمه جت ان هو ابتدى يفكر في نفسه، ما يفكرش في الخدمه ربنا اداها له. ورب راح الانسان بقى مديهم له، رصصهم له، قال له ده ربنا عملك، خدك من بقيت كنت راعي غنم غلبان مالكش اي حاجه في اي حاجه، وكنت صغير ومحدش يهتم بيك، وخدك ربنا من ورا الغنم وعملك ملك، واداك اسرائيل ويهوذا وعمل لك ملك قد كده، ولو كان في حاجه ناقصاك ربنا هيديها لك برضه. بتعمل كده ليه؟ ليه عملت كده؟ هي فكره ان عينه حصل لها عميت، دخلت له ظلمه، فجسده كله اصبح مظلم، وما عندوش فكره هو رايح فين، وعشان كده ربنا هيقولها في انجيل يوحنا: الذي يمشي في الظلمه لا يدري الى اين ايه يذهب. فهو ده المثل الكبير اللي موجود عندنا في العهد القديم، وربنا قالها كده ان الناس اللي عينيهم بتجيب لهم نور. طب العين بتجيب النور ازاي؟ هو ده بص على الست اشتهاها وقال دي بتاعتي انا عايزها. الناس القديسين الكبار لما كنا بنسمع عنهم في الكتب بتاعت البستان الرهباني يقول لك كانوا نازلين السوق وبيجيبوا حاجات، وواحده زانيه كانت موجوده يعني تشتغل في الخطيه، امراه خاطئه، فمزينه نفسها عشان تشد الرجاله، فبصوا عليها ثلاثه وراحوا مدورين وشهم. واحد قال لا بصوا انتبهوا، دي شوفوا اهتمامها قد ايه انها تشد الرجاله وانها بتدفع كل امكانياتها، وبيبصوا العنايه اللي معتنيه بيها بنفسها. يعني احنا مش عارفين نعتني ربع ده بنفسنا عشان ربنا نشد ربنا لينا، ونزين نفسنا بفضائل، ونزين نفسنا بالوصايا بتاعت ربنا. مش عارفين نعمل كده، وعايز يأمن في الحكايه دي. فعينه جابت له ايه؟ نور. وعين داود جابت له ايه؟ ظلمه. احنا عايزين نعمل كده. يا ريت لما العين تبص، خلينا نعود عينينا انها تشوف دايما الحاجه اللي تقربنا من ربنا، مش الحاجه اللي تبعدنا عنه. ما تجيب لناش الشهوه، ما تجيب لناش المقارنات اللي دايما بنعملها، ولازم نثبت ان احنا احسن من اي حد. لازم البس فستان احسن من اي واحده في الكنيسه، لازم عندي بيت اكبر من اي واحد في الكنيسه، لازم تبقى عندي عربيه اكتر من اي حد. طب ما دي ظلمه، دي كلها ظلمه. انت باصص للعربيات وباصص للبيوت وباصص للفساتين وباصص للفلوس. ايه ده؟ بدل ما اقول انا اخدم ازاي، انا اعمل ايه عشان اخدم، عشان ابقى زي ربنا يسوع المسيح كان بيقول يصنع خيرا، ما بيدورش عشان ياخد حاجه لنفسه، بالعكس اخلى ذاته تماما وخلى كل حياته مكرسه لخدمتنا احنا، عشان نبقى احنا تبعه ونوجد فيه. لابد نبقى نفس الكلام، يكون عينينا بتشوف نور وبتودينا للنور وبتملى اجسادنا نور. لما يحصل كده الناس يشوفونا يقولوا ايه؟ دول نور العالم. مش هو ده اللي قاله ربنا؟ انتم نور العالم مش ظلمه الارض. خلي بالكم انتم نور العالم. لإلهنا كل المجد الآب والابن والروح القدس الآن وكل